You all know how much we love ProCare. We talk about them all the time, pretty much in every episode we record.
Pretty much.
So we are really, really excited to announce.
They're sponsoring the podcast.
Yay!
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited.
Yes. And we truly believe in their product because we take them every single day. I take their one-a-day capsule.
Yes. And I take their one-a-day chewable. It's freaking delicious.
And not only do they have multivitamins, but they have calcium chews.
Yeah.
Delicious calcium chews. The salted caramel is to die for.
Oh, and the cinnamon roll, guys, tastes like a cinnamon roll. Oh my God.
They also have dinner mint, but our favorite
is the dark chocolate for two reasons. One, you can have it at nighttime for a treat or make a s'more out of it. We've done it. Freaking bomb.
How cool is that? So go now to procarenow.com and use code OSLP for 10% off.
Alrighty, now go now. What are you waiting for?
Go get your vitamins.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Women After Weight Loss Surgery Masterclass. I'm your host, Denise Cunningham. And today we have with us two firecrackers from our Sleeve Life podcast, Kellie and Mel. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Oh, for sure, ladies. So today we're going to go over their stories. They have actually had the surgery and they're going to tell us their stories, some tips and tricks, what worked, what didn't work. And I'm sure they'll make us laugh somewhere in there.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Well, who wants to start? Do you want me to start? You want to start?
Why don't you start?
Okay. So I'm Mel, and I had gastric sleeve surgery 6 years ago. Almost, it would be 7 years in May. And my top weight was 308 pounds.
I cannot envision that. I know I've seen your picture.
Isn't it crazy? Right? Sometimes I can't even believe that I was until I look at those side by sides and I'm like, oh yeah, you were. You totally were.
You were 308 pounds. You were all of that.
Yep, that did happen. I own it 100%. Because basically the reason what started my journey is because my father passed away from liver cancer. And he was only 59 years old. And a lot of our family barely gets into their 60s. They all die right around that time frame. And me and my brother have always been big kids since we were little. My brother was 472 pounds. I got up to I got up to 308, and he was like, Mel, we need to do something. And especially after my dad passed. And I was like, you are right, sir. We do. So we started working out, trying to lose our weight, as the people that I hate that say this, the natural way. Yeah. Drives me crazy. But we tried, we did all the things. We lost some weight, but we hit definitely roadblocks. Our body just wasn't working. So my brother got lap band, and he was he liked in the beginning, and he was losing weight, and it really jump started me being like, okay, I need to do something because I'm hitting the walls. Same thing. And, I went to the same place that he did that got the lap band, which is the Organ Weight Loss Surgery in Portland, Oregon. And they're a super awesome place. Dr. Patterson, shout out. You're amazing.
And we have an episode with her.
Yes, we do. And she goes over her techniques and everything. But what was kind of cool, she's definitely my pace. I'm a girl that's all in. I want to just get this over with. Boom, boom, boom. And that's really how they treated it. You fill out the application and then you don't hear from them for 2 months. And they tell you that right away. Hey, you're not going to hear from us for 2 months. We got to go through the slog. And they called me in February. And then I had surgery May 13th. So it was quick. And we get up there, we do all the testing because especially since I live an hour away, they wanted to get it all done fairly quickly. So I didn't have to keep driving up there every month or every week because some people have to do that. I got my surgery, and then, 6 years later, I'm down to 192, and I've been sitting here forever. My lowest weight was 179, but that flux that happens that I didn't know that was normal. I thought that I was just failing and being whatever. And now after doing the podcast and watching Kellie go through her journey, I'm like, 10 to 15 pounds is super normal.
It is. It really is. Yeah. So my name's I'm the other half of our Sleeved Life podcast. And we've known each other for 22 years.
22 years.
Of being best friends. And that's how I knew Mel was at her bigger weight.
Yeah.
And I always lived my life with I always need to lose 15 pounds. 15 pounds. I need to get 15 pounds off. And then I met my now ex-husband. And that happy relationship weight started coming on. And then I actually got in the gym. I was eating right. I lost I think 80 pounds and I was feeling really good. I was right around 200. And I got diagnosed with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and fibromyalgia. And that kind of knocked me on my ass.
Trifecta there.
Yeah. And so I kind of ignored that I had those diseases for a long time. I did I did what they told me to do. I took my meds. But I felt like shit all the time. And so my response to feeling like shit was, okay, I'm going to eat like shit. Mm-hmm. If I want to have a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's, that's what I'm going to eat for dinner. And I ate out every night. I was not choosing healthy options, which I found out later that when you eat a lot of sugary-based foods, your body reacts negatively when you have autoimmune diseases.
Yep.
Makes it worse.
Yeah. So I was basically just feeding my disease.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. And I watched Mel go through her surgery, and it was really weird coming from an outsider's point of view of watching her go through it, because you get those fears of well, is she not going to be the same person? Is she going to not want to be friends with me anymore because she's now thinner than I am? That didn't happen.
No.
But I saw how much positive, a positive aspect that it brought to her life. And she was healthy and she was moving and all of these things. And I was so jealous because I was here I am. I'm bedridden. I don't leave the four walls of my room except for to go do my sometimes job and come back and lay down. And I remember this is my why. My clear why is I got all dressed up for my little sister's birthday. We had planned this winery thing, and all of her friends came out. We all dressed bougie because she's to the top bougie. And I was so excited. I did my makeup. I did my hair. I took pictures out in this beautiful winery, and the camera turned around and I looked at it and I was just who the fuck is that? Because that's not me. I was dead in the eyes. I didn't seem to be enjoying myself. I was so overweight that I was just this is not me. I've never been this person. So that was the moment.
It's weird how you just have to see a picture, even though you're living it. I never thought I was as big as I was. No. And then when you see the picture, you're whoa. Yeah. I look like they took a pump and pumped me full of air.
Yeah. Exactly. Or you always take selfies. So you don't notice it because you're giving yourself the best angle, which, everybody wants the best angle. But that was my excuse is, that's a bad angle. That's a bad angle. That's not really me. But it truly clicked in my brain that something big needed to change. Yeah. And I remember talking to Mel about it a few years earlier.
Yeah.
Because my doctor suggested that I had weight loss surgery. And I was no, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. I'm not there yet. And I'm thankful that I didn't, because I don't think I would have taken it as seriously as I did at that moment, because I was mind blown, got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my center, which is in McMinnville, Oregon. And Dr. Thompson did a fabulous job. She is so personable and just made me feel comfortable, because it's so rough walking into that surgery center for the first time, because you're okay, are they going to judge me?
In the big chairs, you're
you've got these giant chairs, and you're just what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
But every single person in that office made me feel so comfortable. And I was so ready after meeting her for the first time. I was I know I can do this. And I can do this because I have this team of people behind me. And my then husband was very supportive. He drove me to all my appointments because I couldn't drive myself. I was in constant pain. I had really bad sciatica pain. And so even standing for 5 minutes was not an option most of the time without pain.
Yeah, wow.
Which is why I was stuck in bed.
Yeah.
And so I had my surgery, and it was I woke up from my anesthesia, which, by the way, anesthesia is my favorite thing ever. I love being able to sleep.
She does.
I don't know. If you could become addicted to anesthesia, I would. Because I'd be just give it to me. Give it to me.
I need it.
Yes. And so I went in, had my surgery, and I woke up from anesthesia, and I was walking, because I remember through all my research that the biggest thing for gas pain was walk. They said walk.
Yes, that pain is horrible. It's like it
horrendous.
You and hurts so bad.
Yeah. And so I was like, I got back to my room and I was like, can I walk? Can I walk? I want to walk. Like, and they're like, well, let's get you settled. And I'm like, no, can I just walk? Because I'm feeling this pain and I just want to walk. And the nurses thought I was insane.
I thought it was insane when you told me. I was like, girl, fucking sit down.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I was like, no, I need to walk because that's the only thing that's going to help. And so they were like, okay, well, if your husband walks with you and make sure you don't fall, like, that's fine. You can walk. So I'm walking and I got to about my second or third lap because it was just a big circle. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't have any pain. What? Like, I don't have any pain. And I started crying because it was the first time in 4 years, 3 or 4 years that I had no pain in my legs.
Wow. So crazy.
And I asked the surgeon, Dr. Thompson, about it. And she was like, well, sometimes anesthesia just like recalibrates your system and it can just happen like that. And I was just like, hell yes, let's do this. So from that moment, like I was doing anything and everything that I could because I just was so thankful for the life that I was given. And I took it very, very seriously, maybe too seriously at times. Like cutting out every single carb out of my life. And not sustainable.
Yeah, and only eating cheese and nuts
and salami.
That
was my diet.
To the extent her doctor's like, hey, your cholesterol is way too high.
Yeah.
Can we back that up, please?
We're going to back off the cheese a little bit. And I was like, all right, cool. I still ate cheese, but I started incorporating other things.
Yeah.
But it was a great, like, the whole journey. Like, yes, there was ups and downs and like emotions and breakdowns that came with it, which I know Mel had the same.
Yeah.
But from the moment I had it, I was like, no, this is my last thing that I'm doing. I am doing this and I'm giving it my all. And then Mel came to me with this crazy idea of starting a podcast.
We hang out every Thursday. That was our jam. Like, even when she was stuck in those 4 walls, it was Thursdays. I'd come see her. Well, back in the 4-wall situation, it was once a month.
Once a month, yeah.
And then after surgery, it was every Thursday. And we talk about weight loss surgery the whole time. And I'm learning so much shit. Like, we're 4 years apart in our journeys. And I was learning so much from her. And I was like, okay. If I'm 4 years out and I'm still learning this shit, we need to help people because I was so in the dark 6 years ago. All I did was read my binder and did exactly what the doctor said. Did it help? Yes. I'm still, weight off. I've not gained only that 10 to 15 pounds and I feel very grateful for it. But this community is insanely amazing and you get to like learn so much about your body and how it is working and things that are normal versus like, hey, maybe you should call the doctor.
Yeah.
And I did some research and I was like, okay, there's podcasts out there, but they're only from the doctor perspective. Like,
which is great.
Yeah, which is fine. Like we can listen to that and learn more and more. But I was like, I feel like we need a patient perspective.
Yeah, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
There was nothing in 2008 when I had my surgery. I was like, where do all these people come from?
Yeah.
This is so cool.
It's so cool. And like there's so much on YouTube and Instagram and now TikTok's blowing up with the community because it's like we're here. We just need people to like find us and bring this awareness out because one, I hate the whole easy way out, natural way bullshit. Like,
let's talk about that because I kind of felt I have to tell on myself a little bit. My ex-husband had the surgery before I did, and he would never eat healthy, even though he liked vegetables. And as someone who didn't like a lot of vegetables, I was like, you're just taking the easy way out. You're just lazy. You're just not, I don't understand. You won't even eat healthy. And then I saw what he went through and he was able to lose 90 pounds in 90 days and keep it off. But like he had that moment where he was like, what the F did I do to myself? Which I definitely had too, where I was like, I don't know about this because it's that moment when you realize like you can't eat exactly the same where you're like, what did I do? No, this is why I did it. But then I had that freak out moment. So
we call that buyer's remorse.
Like people telling you it's the easy way out.
Yeah, because like basically a lot of my friends and family, that's all they would say.
Because that's all they know.
That's all they heard about because, you know, the gastric bypass got a bad rap.
It did.
It really, really did. And it like is kind of like still lingering to this day. And we're trying to break that because that's actually what made me be discouraged from even getting the bypass was because of all the negative heat it was getting, even though I did research on it. And everybody would be like, well, just, you know, just eat right. Just, you know, go work out. And it's like, I've already fucking tried that. You know, I've been trying that. I have been literally a big girl since like I can remember. Like that's just been our family. Like,
well, and we walked everywhere in high school.
Fucking
like
where.
everywhere.
Like
there is
miles.
no reason why we weren't losing weight except for the fact that our bodies just, some people's body
like chemistry just, it just holds on. Like any carbs that I eat, if it's like bread and ranch, it goes straight to my hips and thighs. Like it just automatically does. It's like, hey, don't tell me that I'm taking the easy way out because like, boy, do you not know what it looks like on the other end? Because once you have that surgery, I say it's harder to be on the other side of that surgery than it is to not be. The easy way out is those, part of my French here, but like those motherfuckers sitting on their goddamn couches passing judgment on us and then eating. Because guess what? Like that's the easy way. Like you're doing nothing. Yeah. Like the hard way is literally taking ownership and realizing like you do have a problem. Yeah. Like we have a problem with food. I know that I'm a food addict now. Had no idea before surgery. Because the breakdown that you're talking about, I remember vividly. I was literally in my like hallway right in between the door jamb and I was upset about something. That part I don't remember. But I remember being upset and my husband being like, are you okay? And I was like, I can't believe I did this to myself. I can't believe I got this big to where I need fucking surgery and now I'm in pain and I can't eat what I fucking want and I'm so upset about it. I can even remember right now where I get teary-eyed about it because I'm like, it was so frustrating because I'm like, because my aunt used to say like, hey, like we're emotional eaters. And I didn't understand what that meant at the time. And in my head, I'm like, she's fucking right. She's so right. We totally are emotional eaters. Yeah. And that was the deal is like, now my comfort is completely gone. I don't know how to get comfort anymore. Yeah. Like besides like a hug from my husband, like it's not the same. Yeah. And that food was making me feel not lonely. It was making me feel comforted. And it's like losing a best friend. It's like, what do you do now? Yeah. And that's where I say like, this is not the easy way out because the mental game is real. Well, and not only mental, but physically, you were going through a lot of pain at that point because her surgery was a little bit different than mine. Yeah. And so she had a lot of pain. I had a lot of side pain because what we've learned by interviewing both of our surgeons is like her surgeon did more like laparoscopic. Good job. Yeah. And then mine actually like literally took out my liver and it was sitting outside of me while she was inside of me doing stuff. And so it makes more sense why that incision was so much more painful. I remember telling Kellie, I was like, I feel like I can move. I can feel my organs move. Like they're sore. And it's because like they were touched and I'm like, ooh, this is crazy. So it's just different. Yeah. And so my pain was different and it was longer. Like I couldn't be walking. That's why I thought it was nuts that she was like, I'm walking right after surgery. I'm like, dude, what the hell?
Day 2, I was at Walmart with the cart walking around to walk more.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, as soon as they let me out of the hospital, I was like, hey, I told my sister, take me to Walmart. Because I need to walk. I just need a cart and I'll just walk around. Yeah, that might have been a little aggressive, but
maybe. Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. I mean, I wish I had that energy. I didn't even think about it. Like I was down for like 2 weeks. Yeah. It was not happening.
Yeah. I walked laps around my house. I just did big circles and walked into my room and then down the hallway. And I just did anything and everything that I could think of to get that walk in. And I would walk for about 10 minutes and then I would lay down for about an hour. And then I would be back up, walk about 10 minutes and then go back to bed. So, but it's a very physical pain also. And then once you get past that physical pain, I feel like that mental is like full in front of you. And you're just like, what did I just do to myself?
Now I have to deal with this too. It's not just let me make healthy choices. Now it's like, there was other stuff going on here. You know, that no one seemed to be able to tell me that I was eating when I felt frustrated and upset. Yep. I remember them asking us to do a journal before we ate. And I looked at them like, but if I thought about what I was eating before I ate, do you think I would eat it?
Yeah, right. And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep,
So
but we
I
don't
think weight
realize
loss
that.
surgery, people don't realize it's just like that thing that makes you stop and take care of yourself.
Yep. Yep. We've talked to many therapists and they have all said journaling is one of the best things you can do because it makes you realize what you're doing before you're doing it. And then you tend to make a different decision based on that because you're seeing it in black and white instead of just being like, there's a Kit Kat.
Yeah.
That's coming with
I
me.
have a distinct memory of a lady. I had art stores at the time. Someone upset me. And you'd think an art store is usually a happy place, but I had a lady that would bring her child and then stay for like an hour. And, kids, they need to touch things. They need to. So I would get upset because I don't want you yelling at your kid, like, here, I'll play with your kid, whatever. But I saw her coming. And I literally went and got a Dr. Pepper and some candy because I had candy on tables for my customers when they scrapbooked. And I sat down and just started eating it. And that's when I realized, like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And she really frustrated me.
You needed that Dr. Pepper and candy to deal with her.
Yep. Because it was a comfort.
Yep.
Yes. Comfort food is an actual thing to us. It's not just food. It's that while you're eating that, nothing matters. Like
it just feels good.
It just feels good.
And you're making yourself happy by eating. But what I had to realize was the compilation of eating that was also hurting me. Like I was happy in that moment, but it was physically killing me and it was feeding my diseases. And for Mel, it was doing the same thing. It was physically killing you. And I know some of the people that we've talked to that are over 400 pounds, like it was killing them.
Yeah.
They were killing themselves slowly.
Slowly, a slow death.
And so by having the surgery, taking control, they're not taking the easy way out because the easy way out would to continue to eat like that and just slowly kill yourself.
Yeah.
And, be selfish of taking yourself out of this life instead of being present with your kids, your family, your whoever.
Well, and I think with the surgery, like I was telling this to Eric actually this past weekend, the surgery kind of makes you do like a sugar detox. I feel like, it's fully getting out of your system. And then when you are done doing that detox, you feel so much more awake.
Yeah.
Like that fog is gone. And then you realize, oh, this is what I've been doing to myself for like years. Years, my friend. And it's like, okay, now we need to pivot and do something different because that wasn't working before. Obviously, it wasn't working. And people get nervous about the whole lifestyle change verbiage, but it really is a lifestyle change because now you are eating the foods that make you feel good. And I'm trying to like teach that to my husband and my kid, like, hey, the reason why you're feeling foggy right now and you're not remembering things is because you haven't ate today. Go get protein right now. Can you please just go get some protein?
Food is fuel. It really does feed you.
It really does.
It feeds all what's going on.
People
I mean, even if I think, oh, well, I want to take a nap, I know I could go eat a couple pieces of bread and be ready for a nap. Like I can control my behavior that way. And I think that freak out moment was also good because I couldn't eat liquid sugar anymore. And I liked ice cream, but I wasn't buying it all the time. But that was the moment where I was like, whoa, but I was grateful because that's what I wanted. I wanted that Snickers to make me not feel good. I was actually really grateful for that awareness because that's what helped me stop and say, I'm not going to do that to myself anymore. Whether I'm rewarding myself with food or punishing myself or I'm frustrated, upset, whatever emotion I'm trying to avoid feeling, that's not worth it because I felt so bad after.
Yep.
What do you think has helped you guys be successful? Like as far as changing your lifestyle, tips, tricks, like what will help the audience the most, do you think?
I would definitely not recommend cutting out every carb in your life and only eating 3 items. I would definitely not recommend that.
No, I don't.
I think having a buddy
really helps
through the whole process. I think having somewhere that we could kind of come to and vent and be still having these discussions, but also helping other people kind of keeps me more on task. More than just like I'm in the background. Nobody can see my journey, whereas we are in the forefront of a lot of people's journeys. And so I want to be a person that they look to as a success, and that they see like, oh, she can do it even though she's got this, this, and this, and this against her.
Yep.
You know, I did have some moments this year where it was really hard. I did cope with food because I got a divorce, and that's a really real thing in this community, is that people change. Yeah. And the person that you were before doesn't necessarily mesh with your significant other anymore. Yep. And I learned that it was more than just, it was a long time of not meshing well. We just didn't know how to end it. But I think through that, like I was eating my feelings again, but then it was like, wait a minute. This is what I went through before, and I don't want to do that again. So I think, you know, waking up each day and having a plan in your head of how that's going to go, but also be able to pivot. So if I'm saying, okay, I'm going to eat this, this, and this today and have it logged and be ready to go, but then I'm out and it takes longer and I can't get to the food that I planned, knowing that I can go someplace and I'm going to order something that is healthy for me, and focusing on that protein.
Protein first, protein most.
Yep.
That's like a couple things for me is my brain loves numbers. I'm a very like analytical person. I'm a math major for a reason.
Yep.
So tracking was my like golden child basically, because if I noticed if I hit the goals, I felt great. And then I noticed if I didn't hit the goals, I didn't feel great. But it took me like a good month or two of tracking to realize that. Like, you're not going to notice that right away. You're just like, because you're in it and you're like, hey, I did it good this week. I did good last week. Like, we're going. And then all of a sudden, when you do fall off track and then you realize, oh, I feel shitty today. Why do I feel shitty? Oh, it's because I didn't get all the protein in.
Yep.
I forgot to take my vitamins, because this is going to happen. You're going to forget things. And that's okay. I think also what has helped me is like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's going to happen. It's just, you have to learn from what you just did and then still keep going.
And know that we're all, like, we just released an episode of, like, making mistakes during this is completely normal.
Yes.
We're all going to make mistakes. But knowing how to say, okay, I made a mistake. All right. The next choice I make is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's always about that next choice, because I think that's a big deal, is that we got the mindset of like, oh, we'll just do that Monday.
Yep.
Oh, we'll do that tomorrow.
I swear, that's
right?
so true.
New Year's Eve. Yeah. That's going to be
January
my
1st. We're doing it. And those days just never.
Lose that 20 pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just never happens. And that's the deal, is like, no, we need to choose next meal. It needs to be the next item. It can't be tomorrow, the next day, because that's just not going to.
Monday never comes.
Yeah, you're just going to fall back into those old habits. So I'm a big.
I had a friend that did that, where we were going to start something, and she's like, but I have this event and this event and this event. And I said, well, when would now be a good time?
Yeah.
Because there's always something that comes up.
Yep.
And I just always made sure, like, I noticed too that, like, I really did. Do you guys have to eat like every couple hours? Because I have to eat like every couple hours.
I should
in the beginning
be eating every couple of hours.
I would say the first 2 years it's like that, but now in 6 years out, it's like, if I don't, I start feeling the sluggish. I start feeling a little foggy. I start feeling a little cranky. And I'm like, oh, I haven't ate yet. But we should be. That's the deal, is like, we've noticed that it is very important to keep going.
Extremely important for you to eat every couple of hours. Make sure that you're getting eat your protein first.
Yes.
If you have room, then go to the other things. Because I'm a person that I like to mix all my stuff together. And so that did not work. I had to eat my protein first. And I always put my protein on my plate, ate that. If I was still hungry, then I would get up and get the other things. Yeah. The veggies or whatever. And the vegetables aren't bad for you. They're really good for you, but you have to make sure that your body is getting that protein.
Well, and we talked to that dietitian that's like, it's called honoring your pouch.
Yes.
Because
love that saying.
We only have like this small amount of where we can get food in there and fuel our bodies.
Yep.
So honor your pouch and give it what it needs.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to like give yourself, we call it mouth pleasure. Stop trying to give yourself mouth pleasure and brain pleasure and just give your body what it needs.
Yes.
It's super important for this, this journey.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't just, I mean, and that doesn't mean your food can't taste good, because there are some really good protein-based meals that are awesome. Like, taste so delicious. Like, I do a air fried steak bites. They're amazing.
Yep.
So I could eat those all day long and be totally fine. And they're protein-based, but they also have good flavor to them.
Yep.
You don't have to go with the boiled chicken breast and vegetables again. Like, don't do that. Like, why put yourself through that? Enjoy the 5 bites that you're going to take by giving yourself flavor. It doesn't work well.
Well, and I think that's like a stigma that's like, oh, you just have to have plain food. Like, you'll never get to eat fun stuff again. And by the way, that's completely wrong.
It is
like,
wrong.
Marinate your meat.
Yeah.
Like, do all the things. Get the rubs. Like, make your food taste good, because then you're going to want to eat it.
Well, and to go off of you saying, like, you never can enjoy food again. We went to Disney Springs in October.
Yeah.
Or was it October? No. July. July, we went to Disney Springs, and it's just a different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I really want that Dole Whip, and I want the ice cream that has Mickey's head on it, because hello. But you're saying, okay, well, maybe I'll just choose the Dole Whip and have a few bites and share it with somebody.
Yeah.
So you're still getting to enjoy the food that you want to have. Or, you go to a wedding. Who doesn't like wedding cake? I mean, that's amazing. But instead of taking one plate for your significant other and one plate for you, what if you take one plate, take a few bites, and then hand it over, and then you don't have to worry about it?
Yeah, it's the amount of food is the difference.
I finally convinced my husband to share, because he would be like, no, you get your own. And I'm like, but I can only eat 3 or 4 bites. It's like I'm wasting $20-some. And so I got him on the money side. And then he saw how little I ate, and he was like, okay, we can do this. It's a double benefit, because I was just like, I feel so bad that we're spending all this money. And like, I'm such it's so useless to go to a buffet. I'm like, why would we, why?
No.
I can eat. And I'm like, I like one good plate of hot food.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I was like, I would really rather share. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
So he finally, after us being together for like 5-6 years, I finally got him to share.
That's awesome.
We were supposed to share meals the whole time we were gone in July. And like, I don't know what happened. We had this whole plan.
We did.
And then we were so tired at the end of every day that we were just like not even thinking about it. Except for on the very last day, we're in Disney Springs and we went to this restaurant. And I was like, well, this looks really good. And Mel's like, oh, well, why don't we share? And I was like, were we supposed to be doing that the whole time?
Yes, we were.
And it works perfect because we both have tiny tummies.
Yeah.
So what's the point in ordering double when we're only going to eat half? So share it. I mean, I split with my boyfriend all the time, who he had bypass surgery 2 years ago. And so it works great. We go to a restaurant and I'll be like, what looks good to you? And we'll order it and we split it. And I mean, half the time he orders better than I do anyways. So
he has
every
good
time.
order.
Did you guys go through the whole like leftover thing? I would cook and be like, I hate leftovers now. Like, I used to be the person like, oh, cool. Like, we'll have, no, like I have to love something to cook it, because then when I was single, especially, I'm having to eat it like 6 times to just eat one recipe. So I was like,
I started cutting it in half. So whatever the recipe called for, I would just automatically half it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would only eat it for like 2 or 3 days versus a whole week. So,
well, and I kind of flip-flop that, where I used to hate leftovers before surgery.
Or cold food.
Or cold food. Like, my kid and my husband could just eat that shit. And now, like, I thoroughly enjoy leftovers and cold food.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my husband, because he's a cook and he loves to cook.
Yeah.
And he would just get kind of like depressed, the fact that he's like, your food's getting cold. I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yep.
I can't eat any faster. I can't force it. It's going to be painful.
Yep.
Because like, if you're going through this, you know that pressure in your chest or the pressure in your throat. And sometimes it gets so bad where like we tell everybody, stand up, put your arms up.
Yep.
Boom.
Gravity works.
Gravity totally works. Walk around. It will move it down and you will feel better. But you got to like figure it out. And that's the deal is like, I'm sorry, babe. Like, I know that you want me to eat this and I know I'm going to tell you it tastes delicious, but I'm going to be eating it cold too. Like, just don't worry about it. Like, I got you. I'm still eating the shit, but it's just going to take me time.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just realizing like one meal can take me all day.
Yeah.
Like I had coworkers being like, how are you still eating that? And I'm like, because I just take little bites and do my job and take little bites, because I didn't tell people at my new job what I was like. They got to see me a year after, 2 years after post-op. So I'm not an oversharer, and I don't ever just like randomly tell people like, hey, I had surgery. And so I just let them think they want what they wanted to think. And I had my protein shake every morning. And then at lunchtime, I would just slowly eat that throughout the day. And they're just like, you just are a slow eater. I'm like, yep, I am.
Yep.
I totally am.
Yep. And that was another big difference between us in the beginning was Mel didn't tell anybody. There was probably like
10 people.
Yeah. 10 people that knew about her surgery. Yep. And me, I'm like, I didn't care. Like, I literally talked to gas attendants about the fact that I've had surgery.
Witness this, guys.
Like, they will say something, I'll be like, oh yeah, I had weight loss surgery. Or like, I will conduct little webinars in the middle of little markets because people don't know what weight loss surgery is. They'll be like, oh, you had that band thing? And I was like, okay, we're going to have a little class. Everybody in session. This is the 4 surgeries. This is what each of them does. Like, because I want people to be informed about what's going on. And I don't care if they think it's the easy way. Like, because I've never had somebody be like, I don't care. Like, they all are very, very interested in what I'm saying.
They tune in. They definitely do.
Because Mel's there. Like, I'll talk about it with anybody.
And I'm impressed. I'm like, all right. Like, one, like, you're nailing all of them. Like, she nails every surgery to the T. And then just watching their faces is just really amazing because you can tell that they want to know. Mm-hmm. It's just like they're not going to seek out that information unless it's necessary. Mm-hmm. But they're always quick for the judgments because that's all they hear all day long from other people that like, oh, well, my friend so-and-so had it and they died and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, wait a minute.
Or so-and-so had it and they gained all their weight back. Thanks. That's really supportive.
Inspirational.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like that's a way, because I do the same thing and we've talked about this. Like, if you tell me a story, I'm going to try to relate it to something that I've had happen in my life. And it's not that I'm not interested in your story. It's just that's how I communicate. And so I've started to realize that that's how other people do it sometimes. So when they're saying like, oh, my friend had that, but she gained all the weight back. Like, they're not saying like you're going to gain all the weight back. They're just relating it back to what they know and what they've seen.
Right.
And so by talking about all these things and telling them, well, that's not necessarily true because you have this and this and this and this that you have to do. If you don't follow it, yes, of course you can gain all your weight back.
Well, and understand like our bodies are so different. Mm-hmm. So like my body's gonna be completely different than that person's friend's body and like her choices or their choices of what it is. Yep. And just because one gains back doesn't mean that I'm going to too. I would take offense to it because I'm just like, why do we have to go to the negative thought? Because I'm sick and tired of me saying that I've done something and then they instantly go to the negative situations. So I'm like, okay, we need to promote positive things when it comes to weight loss surgery, because the more positive that's out there, the more than they can finally change the story.
But what's funny is I don't think a lot of people think that that is a negative thing. I think that is purely
that's a problem in itself, though.
Oh, it's and I think it's a total problem. I don't think that should be the first thing that they think of. But a lot of what has been put out there story-wise is that's what's happened. Yeah. And so they're just literally trying to relate to you. And so the more we talk about it and say there are success stories in our community, there are people that have kicked.
A lot of them.
Yes.
A lot.
But I don't think that's like quote unquote normal in the eyes of people that have not had surgery. Like that's not what they're seeing.
Well, and think of the alternative. And this is what I would tell people. It's a tool. And like, I remember my ex-husband, high blood pressure, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, gout, like literally could barely walk sometimes, just breathing so hard.
Yeah.
Literally, I think he had a hard time getting a job sometimes because I think people really thought he could like keel over at any moment because he was 5'7" and 300 pounds. So he was like shorter, carried all the weight up here. And I just think, was the alternative like you're gonna die because you're overweight, unhealthy, or you have this tool. And even if you lost the weight and gained it back, it probably gave you a few more years than it did. So I would just look at people and be like, yeah, it's just a tool that I use, you know, like I talk a lot about protein with people because I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're not getting enough protein either.
No.
Like, because it's just in our diet. If you're eating fast food, you're not getting near what you need in life to live and function. So, well, and it's always interesting to kind
of like put it with, so if a kid walks home from school and walks down his street, makes it home completely fine, that's not going to air on the news.
No, it's not.
But if a kid walks home and gets kidnapped, not that I'm condoning any kidnapping whatsoever, if they get kidnapped, that's going to be on the news.
Right.
So the positive is not going to be on the news. The positive is not going to be in the newspapers. It's not going to happen. If somebody is 700 pounds and loses 500 of it and then gains all of it back, that's newsworthy.
Right.
Because it's more on the negative side. It's that shock factor. Somebody that's 700 pounds and loses that weight and keeps it off for 6 years, well, that's boring. Like, you know, not to us. We find that really cool.
We're like, hell yeah.
Yeah. But for the main population, that's what they're used to.
Well, and I'm realizing with this day and age with social media is like, it's all algorithm based. So like what we're searching on the web, whether it's on Google or if it's on the social media sites, we're getting fed what they think that we're gonna like and what we're gonna click on.
Yeah.
So because like we're immersed in this world, we're going to see more about weight loss surgery and about the positives and negatives and the people.
Yep.
But like, say my husband, you know what his algorithm is? It's all music and football and freaking like games.
Yep.
Like he doesn't come across anything that's like close to what I look at on a daily basis. So it's really like tuned in to the person.
Yeah.
So if you're not going out of your way to learn these things, then you're really almost going to never learn these things because if you're only doing your normal searches, you're just not going to know. You're just not in the know to know as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like you have to have a friend or family member to go through this for people to recognize it and understand it. And then they actually have to have the want to learn more because just because a family member goes through it doesn't mean that they're going to like now search all the things and know all the things either.
And what are they going through today?
Yeah, no, that's just, and that's one of the reasons why we tell people like have your significant other listen to the podcast, have your, you know, if you're really close to your mom, have her listen to the podcast because that's going to bring them into a know of what you're going through on a daily basis because we don't sugarcoat anything.
No.
If we want to be very real, like this journey is not easy. It is not simple. It is not like just...
It's not glamorous.
It's not linear. You're not going to start up here and then just go all the way down. You know, it's not... There's bumps. There's bruises. There's stalls. There's, I didn't get enough water today. I didn't get enough protein today. Oh, crap. I haven't worked out in 3 weeks. Like, that's a normal journey.
Yeah.
It's not, I worked out every day for 3 years. I lost a pound every day. Like, that's not
realistic.
No.
Like...
So what was it like for you guys when the scale started to slow down?
I had freak out.
Cheese and salami? No.
Yeah. Oh, well, around the time that my scale started slowing down, I was hitting about my 1 year. And so I actually had my 1 year check-in with my nutritionist. And she was like, I was like, okay, how do I maintain? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, well, you need to like incorporate healthy foods and you're doing all the same things. You're just making it to where you're not trying to lose any more weight. You're just trying to stay at that weight that you're at.
Right.
And she's like, you might want to add some potatoes because she knew that I was very like carb
restricted.
Nazi, like not happening. And I was like, whoa, you want me to do what? Don't talk, like, I don't eat potatoes. And she's like, have one bite of potato, Kellie. That is your homework. Take one bite of potato.
Do it.
And I did, and it was fine. Guess what? The sky is still there. The earth did not shatter. Like,
and you didn't gain 100 pounds back just because you had one thing of potatoes.
No, not at all. So it's scary because you've worked for, a year, 2 years to lose this weight and to keep losing.
And based on the past, then that's what's scary.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because eventually, you're not going to lose weight forever. Eventually, the scale will stop moving because you cannot be 0 pounds. No matter how much fun that sounds, it's not going to happen. And so realizing that you're just taking a different route now. So like you've gone down this path, you're good, it's comfortable, but now it's saying, okay, you need to take a left turn. And you're like, I don't want to take a left turn. I want to go straight, but there's nowhere to go on that straight path anymore.
Do you feel like the mental work started like the day you had the surgery, or was it like, I got to get through the first like month or two and that's when it was physical, and then all of a sudden it switched to like, was it that oh shit moment where it was like, I got to do mental work? Or when did you realize that this is more than just food?
I think that I worked really hard mentally before I had surgery. So when I came out of surgery, yes, I still had breakdowns and things like that, but I was in a really good mental state because I did 6 months of therapy before I even had surgery, which I highly, highly, highly recommend.
Yep.
You cannot get enough therapy before you do surgery. But I thought everything was good. And I was like, okay, I'm rocking this journey. I got this. And then it was like maintaining happened. And then I was realizing all of these things by, us doing the podcast and talking about all these subjects. And so then the mental part started coming back up again. And I'm like, okay, why do I do this? Why do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so busy that I really, it wasn't like full on thinking about it. It was just like little blips here and there. And then I think after my husband left, that's when the mental started really, really kicking my ass. And that's, 2 years.
And a half in, yeah.
Yeah, year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, because it was before 2 years.
Yep.
So I think he left and I was just like, what? And then I started reaching for those comfort foods, which for me is cake. I love sweets. I love cake. And I just, I was going to Safeway and grabbing all the cakes and I wanted them all. And I didn't quite understand where I was mentally. And I'm still figuring it out. I'm trying to be okay with who I am now. And I think also I went from not having any idea who I was to now I'm like, I'm about halfway there. I'm about halfway. But when something traumatic happens, it's hard. And you have to do a lot of work within yourself to kind of be okay with that traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's different because when I didn't stop losing weight until I would say a year and a half, almost 2 years out. But I lost slowly. Mm-hmm. So when Kellie was rampantly losing, I was because she's she had this goal by her birthday.
You're there's going to be none left of you.
Right. I was girlfriend, I just don't want your hopes to be so high and then you're upset with yourself if you don't reach this, because that is a very unrealistic goal.
But I hit it.
She did hit it. I will give her that. She did fucking hit that goal. It was just nuts for me because I was losing about 8 to 10 pounds a month,
which is average.
Yeah.
That is average, guys.
And I felt great about it. I was never, I think because the community, I wasn't in the community, I didn't try to compare myself to anybody. I was literally just in my own shit. I was I stayed in my lane. This is what I did. And I didn't deal with I had the breakdown or whatever in the very beginning, the first couple months, but the working out took over. So I got so immersed into working out that I was there was a 6-month stretch where I was doing 2 a days. I was going before work. I was doing it after work. I felt great because working out does make you feel really, really good. You're sweating in there and you're in a group mentality and everybody's cheering each other on. That felt amazing to me. And so I was I got to keep going to this. This is awesome. This is awesome. And then once life changed to where I had to move, I bought a house, I had a new car, new freaking career. I had to pivot and then the working out stopped. So I had to figure out what are we doing here? Because I don't want to gain anything. So now I have to learn how to maintain without really doing the workouts that I was doing. And so I had to change what I was doing. So it was okay. Yes, you cannot go work out every day. It's not feasible with the schedule that you have. But you know what you can do? You can stand at your desk all day. Instead of sitting, let's stand. So I did that. Every break, I would walk around because I was like, hey, I can't go to the gym, but I can do walks. Like I was just making sure I was still physical and moving because what I've learned in this process for the last 3 years is to maintain, you still got to freaking move.
You got to still all do all the things.
You don't have to have that crazy workout where you're burning like crazy and going on those runs and lifting those weights. But what you do have to do is move. And that's why I love the tracking. And you're going to hear me talk about it all the time because that's what kept me maintaining. And that's why I am the same weight 6 years later is because I tracked and I moved. The mental started happening really with the podcast because I was talking to these doctors and realizing like their light bulbs were turning on of like, oh, I do that. Oh, that makes sense. This is why I do these things. Because
maybe even before the podcast, because on Thursdays we would talk about stuff.
It was it was us talking was like making me realize like, oh, I do have these tendencies and whatever. But I already was in the motion of like, I say around 2 year to 3 year, what you're in right now is where you find yourself.
Yeah.
It's where you start realizing what do you like? What do you not like? You start questioning everything. You're like, do we even like this music? Do we even like that food? Do we even like these people? Like you're starting to go through your Rolodex. Thank you. Of like what you like and don't like and dealing with it. Whether like, am I going to put up with this stuff anymore? I would just want to be happy. How do we do that on a normal basis? And you just start questioning everything. And I think that's super helpful. If you don't question, I think you get a little like complacent. And then you start going back to old habits because you're not learning anything. And for me, I questioned everything even to this day. That's part of why we're podcasters because I love interviewing people. I like information. I like knowing. So I'm going to ask these questions. And I learned that you have to ask those questions also within and not be scared of the answer inside. Because when you question yourself, it's okay to have like a negative answer because guess what? You're not telling anybody. You're telling yourself. And that's okay. Like tell yourself the shit and then deal with the shit is the main thing. Like no one's going to judge you for being trying to be a better person. Like, and if they are, then they shouldn't be in your life.
Well, and to roll on the top of that, Mel is now learning that you are allowed to talk about yourself and you can put information out there because people do care about you and they want to know. And just because they don't ask
doesn't mean they don't care.
Exactly. And you are worthy of talking about yourself and your journey.
Yes.
That it's okay to talk about it.
It's not vain. It's not being selfish. It's not oversharing. Like you're allowed to talk about yourself to people and it's okay.
Yep.
And if you have to put up some boundaries there because some people you can trust and some people you can't trust. And that was my thing that I've learned is that I just I have really big trust issues. I still have huge trust issues.
Yeah,
like,
but I feel like you're way better off now than you were even like 6 months ago.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Because I've had to realize like, oh, I can trust people. There are certain people that I can let in and it's okay. And like, I know that's from old habits of like being like younger and as a kid and like family stuff and realizing, oh, I didn't think that I could trust anybody, but now I can. It's totally fine.
Yep. And not everybody's going to leave.
That's a big deal too.
Yeah.
So like knowing that you can tell people things and they're not just going to be judgy, like you just have to find those people and you have to eliminate those other people that are the ones that are hurting you and making you feel like shit on a daily basis. Like if they exhaust you, don't have them in your life.
Yep.
And it's okay
because otherwise you're going to want to eat that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, that's your go-to.
Yep. Yeah. Because if I have those people in my life, if I hear those negative things and all I want to do is reach for that Hershey's with almonds and I want my fries from Arby's and I can't do that to myself anymore. Like those are my two big like trigger foods that I want all the time. If I'm upset or if I'm lonely, or if I'm sad. So it's like, I need to get those people out of my life and I need to have people that make me feel good and like where we can share each other's like journeys together. Cause being with Kellie has really helped my mental health, has really helped me physically, like all the things.
No big deal. I'm just awesome.
Because like, it's nice to have a friend that gets it, you know? And it doesn't have to, like, not everybody has a situation where we have 20 years worth of friendship, but find someone online, like message us. We have a whole support group going that has 60 plus people in it because you need that support. Yeah. It is so, so helpful for your day-to-day basis. Just have someone that you can message and you can go do that with us at any time.
And not only after, but before. Yeah. Find people that you connect with. Like we had 3 people in our chat that 2 of them had the same exact surgery date. And then one of them was like a week, 2 weeks after.
Mhm.
So like they could all connect on a level that we aren't in anymore.
Right.
Like pre-op is a very like quick stage that you're just like, okay, let's get to surgery. Let's get to surgery. And we can talk about it, but when you're living it, you want somebody else that kind of gets where you're coming from. And having a surgery twin is what we call it. It's really nice to have. And they would have never known that had they not been in the chat.
Yep.
So we really enjoy people that are pre-op, even just thinking about surgery, because then you really get to ask all your questions and you can ask them all day long.
Yeah.
It's not just on a, Instagram post or whatever. It's more intimate, I think.
It's very intimate because they get to learn like who we are and we get to learn who they are.
Yeah.
And we answer really quickly. I think that's the deal too, is like even going on the forums of like Facebook groups and Instagram and stuff, you might ask a question and sometimes it never gets answered.
Yep.
Or you get all the negative stuff that goes along with it.
I can't stand that.
Now, how does our audience find you to get into like involved with your chat?
Everywhere. No. So we have a Patreon.
I told you she'd make me laugh.
Patreon.com/OSLP. That is our exclusive group of people that like to get a little bit more about us. Yeah. And if you do the $7 a month or higher, you are allowed to join we like to call it the winner's bench, but they're more fondly known as the benchies.
Yep, there are benchies.
Yep. And because that's another thing is we are removing the loser's bench saying, because we are not losers.
Nope.
Like we are losing weight, but we are not losers. So we are calling it the winner's bench from now on.
We are letting go of everything that ever held us back.
Exactly.
Correct. So we are the winner's bench and you're winning at life. And so we are very excited for people to go on there, see what we have available. We also do Zoom chats monthly.
Yep.
And so you can join that. There's a lot of different benefits for going and being a patron of ours. And we love everybody, but our patrons hold a special place in our heart.
And they get like exclusive videos of us. Like once a week, they get their own. Like no one else sees it. No one else hears it but them.
Yep.
And it's more insight of like who we are. Like it's not just always about weight loss and weight loss surgery.
Yes.
So you can awesome. You can comment and hang out with us.
Well, ladies, do you have a final thought?
Just go over to whatever podcast platform you use and download our episodes, or go to our website, which is oursleevedlifepodcast.com, and sign up for our newsletter. We are always happy to help in any way we can. And we just are very thankful for you having us on, Denise, because
thank you for
this
contributing.
is amazing.
I think it's so good to hear other people's experiences and know that you got here from A to B, but it was like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not a line.
No,
it's a big squiggle mark.
It's not going to be perfect, but it's progress, right?
It is progress. So, every minute of every day is a little bit of progress, and it all adds up in the end.
Yeah, and the last thing that I would say is there's twofold. One, go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe because you can see all of our videos. They drop once a week. They are on there, even like unboxings and things like that. And then two is just know you're worth it. You are worthy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Go have the surgery. If you need it, you need it. No one can don't care what anybody else says. They don't judge us when we need a knee replacement. If I have breast cancer and I need to have my boob chopped off, like they don't there's no comment section for that shit. So let's go have our surgeries. Let's get healthy together. Come hang out with us because you are freaking worth it. You only live once. So let's be the healthiest we can.
Yep. Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Love you.